Your pediatrician may have concerns about your child's weight, and so the best thing is just to look at the overall trends in weight. So typically we don't tell parents to weigh their kids every day. There's so much fluctuation. So like essentially we're looking at the overall trend. So sometimes kids could even have like high BMIs, but they could be super athletic.
Yeah.
The muscle weighs more than fat, right? Yeah. Sometimes that skews results. And BMI will give you an idea of where the kid's at on the growth chart, but it shouldn't be the end all be all to everything.
It's just one part of the entire picture, and it's a part of the entire evaluation and assessment. So it has to be taken into consideration, but you also have to actually physically look at the person we're talking about and evaluate like their body composition. Oh, for sure. And then there's some extreme circumstances where it doesn't apply at all. Like you mentioned, really athletic kids with extra muscle mass, or kids with serious medical conditions where their body composition is very different in either way, like either having very low muscle mass or very high muscle tone or very high in fat tissue. And so then it's just, it doesn't help as much because there are some kids, even like with Down syndrome, for instance, whose body composition is much lower in muscle and higher in fat. And so the BMI is really more helpful to keep on the lower side. Like they're going to be much healthier when their BMI is on the lower end, if not slightly low in general, because otherwise they're just gaining fat and it doesn't help them. When should a parent be concerned? If a kid has a low weight, is that everything that we look at, or are we looking at more than that?
Yeah, it's also proportionality, right? So the BMI does take into account like your height. So
100 pounds on me is going to look different than 100 pounds on somebody 8 inches shorter than me.
Completely.
Yeah, so that's why like for kids under 2, we're looking at something on the growth chart called weight for length, where it's taking into consideration their length. So it's their weight for themselves, not comparing them to other kids. So that's so helpful if they're super long or super short. And then the BMI is similar, but it's like a little equation in there. But still looking at like how is their weight for themselves, for their height, right? And then looking at the whole pattern. Maybe they are small for their age, but if we look at since this 8-year-old was 2 years old, have they always been this way? That's so different than if a kid used to hang out at around the 30th or 50th percentile for years and then just dropped off, and now they're at the 10th. I had a patient come to me because the pediatrician said they're underweight, they're very small, but the parents were like not so concerned because the parents were always small themselves at that age. But the part of the picture that made me more concerned was where the kid used to be on the growth chart. So this child used to be in her toddler years, 50th, 70th percentile. The other thing was her height also used to be around there. After her toddler years, both her weight and her height came down. Like she kept growing. It was just so slow that she dropped percentiles every year. So then one thing is her BMI was perfectly normal. She was very proportionate to herself, but the pattern was so concerning. Where did her body come from? So it's showing me her body is capable of naturally being at the 50th or 70th percentile. That's where her body wanted to be. So something changed and happened as she grew up that caused both her weight and her height to decrease. And it's more concerning that her height decreased because that doesn't happen unless a kid is more chronically, long-term being undernourished. So we'll see what happens.
The other one that I've seen a lot is kids, especially boys, go through like a growth spurt in height and their weight stays more stable. Their BMI is going to be like all over the place. It's gonna look so different from one month to the next. You're just like, you have to like physically look at the kid and you're like, oh yeah, you got 4 inches taller.
But I guess it's like looking at making sure you evaluate their growth over enough time, because technically their weight should keep up with their growth and height. There can be some lag, but as long as they make it up. But some teenage boys just are too lazy to eat, and then they don't gain the weight as they keep getting taller.